Hey y'all, this is Preston with Barely There here with another movie review for you. And this time it's Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows. I know this one seems kind of random, but I thought it was actually kind of fitting. What with us just having Avengers Endgame, why not do another movie with Robert Downey Jr. in it? I actually saw the first Sherlock Holmes when it first came out, roughly a decade ago now. And I remember really loving it, but for whatever reason, the sequel, A Game of Shadows, it just never crossed my mind, never crossed my path, and I never seen it until just a week or so ago when I was having my arm twisted by my buddy Jeremi, who does most of the artwork, including the art that you're seeing right now for these thumbnails and for most of the videos. And this is a movie that he is a big fan of. So I thought, hey, why not? I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to spend the $3.99 to rent it here on YouTube. And that's what I did. I sat down and I watched it. And almost immediately after, I actually managed to get him on the horn and we did our own review for it. This is another lengthy podcast-like review. You be familiar if you actually managed to sit down and listen to the entirety of the Avengers Endgame review that we had. So again, I kind of apologize for the length, but we really got into it, and I really liked them. It was just as fun as I had reviewing Endgame with my buddy David. So yeah, let me know if you guys like this kind of style. I'm still going to be posting videos of, just my face and more recent movie reviews, of course. But yeah, I thought this would be kind of fun and somewhat different from what I did before. So hope you guys like it. Let me know if you do. But without further ado, here's our review. All those rhymes unintended. Our review for Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows. All right, we are recording. All right, hello all. This is Barely There, Preston here with another movie review for you. There are many, many movies that I look forward to reviewing. Movies that I'm passionate about, superhero movies, action adventure movies. Movies starring A-list stars, just movies I'm really, really jazzed up to review. Unfortunately, I'm not here to review one of these movies. Today's movie review is Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, which is a movie that I was, I don't want to say forced to watch, but forced to watch. Here with me today, unfortunately, my good buddy David is on standby, wink wink, and but I got my other good buddy here, one of my lifelong friends, Jeremi Thompson. Jeremi, say hello.
Hello.
Okay, and that's all the time he'll have for tonight.
Apparently I've transformed into Mickey Mouse.
Well, he did just actually see Avengers Endgame again with his gal.
I forgot that Disney owned that. Okay, yeah.
Disney. I think it'd take less time for a person to list all the things Disney doesn't own. Disney.
The only thing that separates Avengers from Kingdom Hearts is the fact that Mickey didn't jump out at the end of Avengers.
That's, and I still feel like fans wouldn't have much of an issue if that had happened, like after the credit scene.
If he just jumped through a portal and just started fighting.
If he just jumped through a portal, or just like after the credits, he was just holding up his white glove and it had all 6 stones in it. Like people would be like,
that actually was pretty cool. I think people would be like, oh snap,
oh snap, well,
snap, turn everyone into a cartoon or something.
Snap! I was gonna say to quote the Joker, that's a poor choice of words. but okay.
Joker?
The Joker, yeah. That's a poor choice. Very poor choice of words. We're getting off topic. We're not here to review Avengers Endgame. We're not here to review the Titan that is Disney Incorporated. We're here to review Sherlock. I was gonna say Avengers Endgame again. Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows. Now, this is a movie that was spearheaded by
Hedgehog.
This is a movie spearheaded by. We gotta review the Sonic the Hedgehog movie when it comes out. This is a movie spearheaded by director Guy Ritchie, a fairly well-known movie director. It stars a lot of big names. Ironically, we just talked about Avengers. It stars Robert Downey Jr., Jude Law, Jared Harris as the titular bad guy, Professor Moriarty, and of course one of my kind of celebrity crushes, Rachel McAdams. This movie is the sequel to the before directed Guy Ritchie movie of a similar name, Sherlock Holmes. That came out, I believe, just 2 years before that, in 2009. This movie was made and released in 2011. And so to just give you guys a little bit of the backstory, this is a movie I just never got around to watching. I kind of always did want to, because I think Jeremy and I, we both share the same sentiment. Like, we both really loved the first Sherlock Holmes, what they were able to do. And I believe, like I said, I never got around to watching this movie, but you saw this movie when it came out in theaters, right?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Yeah, one more time. No, I was just saying, explaining about the two movies. I never got around to watching this sequel, A Game of Shadows, but you saw this movie when it first came out in theaters, right?
I saw it when it first came out. I was really hyped for it.
Mm-hmm.
The first one really caught me off guard. It's one of those things where you don't really look into a movie, you just hear about it, and then you just go up there on a whim and just hope it's good. And it actually turned out, pretty good. So the second one came out, and I felt like I just owed that much to the series to watch it.
Gotcha.
Overall, there are a few things that I took away from the movie that I didn't like that would change my take on the whole movie. But overall, I did enjoy it. I'll go into detail later.
Sure.
But you're gonna have to. It's been a while since I've seen it. You're gonna have to go through the plot.
Right. Yeah. It's been years since Jeremy has seen this movie. I literally just watched it about 2 days. Years. I just saw this movie 2 days ago. So yeah, but we'll have pretty interesting opinions on this movie. But yeah,
okay. So I'm just gonna have you walk through the plot.
I'll guide you through, man.
Memories, I can comment on whatever.
Okay. That's good, man. Yeah. Well, I'll just guide us through.
Now, is this a spoiler-free video, or are we doing like a quick review for someone who hasn't seen it yet, or do you want to just jump in?
Excuse my French, but fuck no. No, we're gonna talk about this movie in depth.
A family-friendly video, family-friendly review. We're only using PG words.
Yeah, okay, fuck that. So, at the beginning of the movie, so we're going to dive right in. At the start of the movie, just to give you guys a quick synopsis, and of course we'll commentate as we go along. Beginning of the movie, we see, first things first, like I said, I just saw this movie, so it's still pretty fresh in my mind. We get some establishing shots of, old school England, roughly the area where Sherlock and Watson live, and the music. It also is it's actually kind of, I don't know if iconic is the right word, but it's very memorable, which I really like, as we see some sweeping shots of the London city streets and just people, just the attire, the aesthetic. I actually really liked it. It's something they stay pretty faithful to.
I do have to give that to them. They really caught the vibe of Sherlock. Like I feel like if you were to watch that scene randomly and not know about it, you're either gonna guess one or two things. It's like a Victorian movie or whatever, or it's either Sherlock or Harry Potter. But
Harry Potter. Or Harry Potter. But see, the things with movies like those too is, like, especially with Harry Potter, like they kind of leave it kind of vague as to what time period they're set in, but it's like with Sherlock, no, it's very specifically like set in this particular time period, and they do a good job of just kind of replicating everything, like down to the dirty city streets, to the lower class people with their kind of rags but still long overcoats, and then you see later in the movie those people who are high up, how decked out and like kind of flashy they still are, but how just the style of it is all different. Just like I said, I really like the aesthetic and the music and the charm. Pretty much I guess you could say the coding of the movie, I think is very solid.
They actually, they did do a really good job kind of keeping it gritty. A lot. I noticed, I pay attention to that a lot now, because my coworker really loves the gritty aspect of movies, because you don't that's something you don't really pay attention to. But a lot of
Right.
movies being really clean, like
Very
they'll be going through
clean,
like
very
combat
sterile
missions and
looking.
shit like that,
Hmm.
and then they'll come out with no dust on their shoulders. Their shirts are perfectly clean. Their hair is all
Sure.
nice. Yeah, right.
Sure.
There's,
That's an issue I actually had recently with Disney's remake of Aladdin recently.
mm,
I won't get into
mm,
detail too much of it. That's another review for another day. But there were several instances. It's I forget the Agaba, but it's like a dusty,
well,
dirty city, and there were a couple scenes and like they should be like dirtier than that. Like it just very stood out, and
right.
yeah. So yeah, no, I totally agree. But they really captured the look and feel, and this kind of plays into with this opening scene because we see. My girl, Rachel McAdams, playing Irene Adler. She's walking through. There's a sense of mystery as to where she's going because that's kind of her character. And one of the gimmicks, I'll get more in depth about this later, that I was kind of teetering talking back and forth, is the Sherlock really into disguises and
Yeah.
blending in this movie. And this first time, because it was the first time, but it did catch me off guard. He approaches Irene and this very funny, but I thought decently made, at least for the time, costume. And they have like their natural banter. Sherlock gets into a fight with a scuffle because of what she's been contracted to do. And I will say, even though I'm not crazy about this introduction, Jeremy, I do understand it and I see what they were trying to do. And I think for the most part it does work because you get the establishing of the city, the time period that we're in. We get introduced. We kind of quickly understand what Sherlock and Irene are all about through their banter, and we get a quick but fairly entertaining action sequence. So like right there in the first 5 minutes, we know what this movie is going to be about. Wouldn't you say?
Yes. I feel like. I mean, like reply so simply, but yeah,
It's okay.
they really did, carry on. I feel like if you were to watch both movies back to back, it would almost feel like you didn't skip a beat
Sure.
based off
Yeah.
of the first scene.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Yeah.
But like right away they just give you a little bit of action. I feel like they wanted to change the pacing of the movie a little bit, but if you notice, the first and the second movie kind of, start out strong with like a lot of plot happening in the beginning, action, and then it kind of like, eases down into like Sherlock's life a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, totally. I agree with that. And I'll get more into that in a little bit. But yeah, good introduction for the movie. We get to hear Watson, get to see Sherlock and Irene interact, and get to see some action. It's fairly solid. But then, and thankfully so, but I think this is a plot point we can just dig into right now if you like to, Jeremy.
Sure.
But we get introduced through Irene, through the main antagonist of the movie, and we can just talk about him right now if you like.
Professor Moriarty.
Professor Moriarty, played by, I just said his name earlier, Jared Harris. Yeah.
I think he did a good job, personally.
You think he didn't do a good jojob?
I think he did do a good job.
Oh, you did do a good job. Okay.
I was convinced. I'll go into that later, but you go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, we get introduced. We get introduced to Professor Moriarty. For those who are huge Sherlock Holmes fans, he's kind of like, the Green Goblin to his Spider-Man, the Joker to Sherlock's Batman, essentially. Not in terms of like character, but just like, that's like their main, kind of dude. In the first movie, we had Mark Strong playing the bad guy, and while it was fitting, he wasn't particularly memorable, which was okay because that movie was really focusing on establishing Sherlock and Watson as characters and their development, so that was fine. But in this movie we get Sherlock's main bad guy, the most kind of well known throughout his books, Professor Moriarty, the man that can match Sherlock in terms of intellectual prowess. Right. And he does something that the movie very poorly hints at through this interaction. But I won't mention it now because the movie doesn't make a hardcore
core statement on it. So I'm just going to keep moving along until we get to there then, and then I'll share my full feelings on it. But essentially, we get the establishing shot. We believe this guy is up to no good, as of course he is. But later on, we see Sherlock and Watson. They're back at it again, and Sherlock's messing with Watson with his urban camouflage and other inventions he's working on. But they quickly, after we meet up with Sherlock's brother Mycroft for a little bit, there's this funny scene with this bachelor party that Watson quickly deduces that they're not there. They're not there at this establishment to celebrate his wedding, which Sherlock, of course, isn't excited about because he's kind of losing his best friend to a relationship that has no room for him. But we find out that he's actually been investigating Professor Moriarty for quite a while now, and he runs into this gypsy fortune teller named Smiza, something like that. But essentially, the new female protagonist that's kind of replacing Irene Adler from the first movie. So we get into that. A really cool action sequence kinds of occurs as they're kind of like breaking stuff and chasing this particular bad guy to get information of like what this letter that Irene was delivering to earlier.
Now hold on. At this point, Irene is dead, right?
Yes.
They show her drinking the tea at this point.
They show her drinking the tea. This was what I was going to come back to earlier, but we can talk about it now. They show her drinking the tea, and it's heavily implied that she died.
Right.
But we don't actually see her fall over and succumb to the poison of the tea until Moriarty. It's actually after the scene, so yeah, we can talk about it now. Was not actually like physically shown until Sherlock and Professor Moriarty finally talk at his office, and Moriarty states like, "Yeah, I killed her, like I murdered her."
She's dead, bro.
She's dead, bro. And I have so many feelings about this.
So just a little context. Mm-hmm. I believe, for some reason, Rachel McAdams had to pull out of the movie early, so they had to write her out. But yeah, I believe she had to pull out of the movie, and the way that they handled her removal, I felt was kind of phoned in. Because just the way that the movie moves along, you're like, oh yeah, she's dead, okay, whatever. Like no one came looking for her, no one really cared. It's just kind of like,
right.
Sherlock has this moment, yeah, because you get the sense that these two characters, even from the first one, that they have a sense of history, and like you said, the movie moves at a really weird pace. Like sometimes I feel like it speeds up and then it slows down and then speeds up again. Like the way I just described, like this first, honestly, like half hour of this movie just now, it's just because like it feels kind of muddled. And by the time I got to that scene where Professor Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes are meeting for the first time in the movie, like I kind of forgot like what the plot was. Like, okay, there was this letter that was being delivered, bombs are going off, that we believe Moriarty is behind, but we don't fully understand what his end game is, no pun intended. And Sherlock and Moriarty are like kind of like subtly discussing the terms, because he's there to be like, yo, leave my boy Watson alone, he's got no stake in this. And Moriarty's like, hey yo, if you and your homies keep trying to come after me, I'm gonna kill him and his wife. And of course, they both still move forward with their plans, Moriarty doing this thing and Sherlock planning to stop it. But okay. Oh, go ahead. I'll let you finish that thought.
But I was just gonna say, I was kind of rambling there, but to get back, I thought, and it's not because I love Rachel McAdams, because I really don't. I think she's pretty, and I think she's a capable actress, but I've never seen a movie. I've never seen a movie for Rachel McAdams. But yeah, I agree. They handled her death very poorly. I understand, like behind the scenes, she wasn't meant to be there for that long. She's only contracted for like this little spot. But still, the way they did this, there had to have been a better way. And I'm sure there have been in other movies they've written out characters in better ways. But her death it felt so. Even though they tried to make it feel like it's important to the plot, like it just felt so unimportant. I think there's only like one scene that's like dedicated to Sherlock, kind of like mourning her loss. So it just didn't hit me, I think, as hard as the movie wanted to. But I don't know if you feel the same way.
So him mourning her loss. He was on a boat, headed, to investigate, whatever whatever he was going on in the background. And then he just looks at the cloth that she left behind. She kind of on it, and then he just kind of like throws him in the water, and then he has his thing. I don't feel as though it was,
handled that well,
as genuine as it could have been. Sure. There are a lot of ways, there are a lot of things that they could have done, but Sherlock's not really like the emotional type. He's supposed to not love anyone. He's supposed to be really intelligent, and Irene is
true.
Sweet spot, and so for him to like even have that little moment was enough for me to be convinced, I guess. In the moment of time, like, watching the movie.
That's a fair point.
I wasn't like, he would never do that. I was just more like, yeah, it's kind of something to do.
Okay. No, that's a fair point. I didn't even think of it that way. No, that's a fair point. I won't argue that, but I still kind of hold on to the sentiment. Like maybe if like it was cool if Sherlock was still, acted that way, but just the way the movie presented it, like her death and how they handled it, I felt like it still could have been done better.
They also, I feel like they kind of left it open too, because you didn't really see her die. So it's like,
oh no, she did. No, they showed her
back.
Die. They showed her die. They did.
Well, they showed her fall over, right? But there's no body, right?
There's a body. It was unmoving. It was dead.
There was no body that Sherlock found, and that a doctor, like in the plot where they're like, oh, she's dead. Moriarty just like, oh yeah, I confirmed she's dead.
She has to be, man. She has to be. They do.
I know you want her to be, but I feel like
it's not that I want her to be dead. But if they were, even though this movie came out in 2011 and we're in 2019 currently, if they make a third movie and they show her to be alive, it would undo so many few good things this movie has going for it. Because then it shows like Professor Moriarty wasn't that smart because, hey, this girl I thought I killed actually isn't dead. And B, it just makes her short cameo or scenes in this movie like that much worse because it's like, where the hell was she during the rest of the movie? Like, so she has like, logistically speaking, it doesn't make any sense.
There's an easy way to explain that, because you could say like Moriarty didn't intend to kill her, right?
Yeah.
And he could have had her locked away.
But that takes away from the dangerous mystique of Moriarty, who has like this really complicated laid out plan, and that he would overlook something so simple like that in the beginning of the movie. It just seems kind of ridiculous. But that's just my opinion. So, I don't want her dead, but if like kind of like in this is a horrible analogy, and forgive me, but like remember at the end of Batman v Superman when you see like the rocks floating up. I'm sorry. I won't talk about this a lot, but you see like the rocks flowing up from this casket. Like, it's just like that feeling of like, hey, if you're going to do something, like stick with it, don't cop out. don't cop out. If you make a decision, stick with it. Don't cop out like the last second. That's how
I feel like they were just kind of, just to go off on a small tangent.
Sure.
With that movie, I feel like the audience knew he wasn't completely dead. So really, they should have just like showed him get up, Well, how hard would it be for him to like sit up for a second, and like take a breath of air,
take a breath, let it off. Or honestly, that would have been okay, but at least do that in the next movie, or like have some, I don't know. It's like you said, it's a weird tangent, but it's another thing because like Superman and Irene, they're two different characters. One's like hugely iconic, the other one is a side character to another iconic character.
Right. Okay, so wait,
still. Yeah.
Back to Sherlock.
So we get to see the first scene between Sherlock and Moriarty. We get to see how intelligent these two are, and that the movie's establishing like these are two determined men willing to go at it with each other.
Yeah, because the whole premise of the movie at this point is like we all know how smart Sherlock is based off the last movie.
Sure.
And so they give you a lot of half truths with Sherlock, and then they're like, look, Moriarty has this plan. And, he may not be as, he may have sized up Sherlock appropriately, and he's going to have a plan to beat him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember at this point. So you follow Irene, she has this letter,
Mhm.
and then they go and investigate, and like they go and investigate, and they find out that Moriarty is up to no good, pretty much. And so at this point in a movie, like you follow the new, which okay, that was one thing, that was one negative about the movie I didn't like.
What's
They
that?
basically took off Rachel McAdams and then they replaced her with someone else.
Yes.
I was like, it was such an obvious
with the
character
woman,
switch.
right?
Yeah, right. They were like, we need a
or
female
the
lead in
the
this movie.
gypsy that they protect,
Yeah.
and she tags along for the rest of the movie. But yeah,
I mean, she is really important in the movie. Like her role
sure, in the story
does drive the plot pretty well. But I'm just saying, like it was so obvious that they.
Oh my god! Yeah,
kinda
it was.
shoehorned in.
Yeah, and it's just, and I'm not blaming the actress necessarily, but yeah, she's just like not as interesting to look at, or should I say, not not like physically speaking, but like she's not as charismatic or memorable as Rachel. Because I remember, even though she only had like 3 or 4 scenes in the beginning of the movie, I remember those scenes much more clearly than I do like any line this gypsy says, And it's just, it's kind of, you're right. The movie makes it really obvious. Like, we're just replacing this character with that one, and it kind of feels forced, essentially. But yeah, like you said, this story is kind of based around her, because her brother is linked to Moriarty, and this whole grand scheme that Moriarty has played out. For this power play for control during this time. So I'm going back through my notes here. So after they meet up, probably my favorite scene of the movie, if I can say. So Moriarty, is going at it full force. He puts out this hit on Watson and his wife, newlywed wife, because he knows Sherlock. He knows he's not going to stop. They pretty much established that. And of course, we get this kind of cool, action train sequence.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Bringing back memories, man. Okay. That was your favorite scene, not the ending. You don't have to tell me what the ending. You don't have to say the ending right now.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
That wasn't your favorite. Did you freak out? Okay. Anyway,
we'll get there. We'll get there, man.
Yeah.
Dude, excited about this epic.
Oh yeah.
Train scene. Yeah, it's probably my favorite.
The train scene, it started off kind of like normal, right? They were just riding the train, and all of a sudden, like things start happening. And then, they start shooting, and the cannons go off and shit like that, right?
Right.
And Sherlock's like, get down, because he's already like 2, 4, or 5 steps ahead of everyone else, right?
Sure.
My whole take on that whole scene, I really enjoyed the cinematography from that.
Yeah.
I think it was shot really well.
I agree.
My biggest annoyance in action movies is the fact that a lot of directors take like this certain like angle where they have the camera running behind the person, almost like a third person. So the camera's shaking as you're watching the screen. And so like people who watch action movies usually get like headaches and stuff like that because they're so prominent within all the movies that like no one ever tries to have like a still screen and have a bunch of stuff going on, because it doesn't seem as epic as like a shaking screen with like dust flying past the camera and all that.
No, I agree, man. This just to touch on what you just said, it's shot very well. There's some good banter between Watson and Sherlock. You get some cool stuff like inside the cabins of the train. You get some cool outside establishing shots. It looks fairly real. Like the effects, they don't age great, but it's still okay. And to your point, the action it's even though it's at nighttime and there's a moving element to it with the train, everything's still pretty clear. You can make out where everything is at any time. And I agree. The problem with most action movies, like they have the shaky cam, and I'll even say like with Marvel movies too, as much as I love them, they have this thing where they'll like do like 20 cuts and like one action sequence. Like you see a fist and the camera cuts to another camera. It's like it's very frantic and crazy to the point where you just have to assume like, okay, I think they're fighting cool. I wish I could see it, but I guess the cool stuff is happening. But yeah, just to the point where you can't make it out. And I'll say this sequence is shot very well. Yes, and that's why it's my favorite kind of action scene of the movie. But I will say, Jeremy, and this is where you and I may part ways, but after this scene, this awesome train sequence, I feel like the movie just takes like a nosedive. Like it just,
you think so?
All the way. That's how I felt. Yeah, that's how I felt. I just felt like it just takes a nosedive. I started losing interest in the movie rapidly because of two major plot points and just how other things are handled in the movie. But
okay.
Two plot points.
Before we move on, then the train scene.
Really like it.
I'm just jogging my memory. Okay, so Watson wants nothing to do with it. Holmes' investigation, pretty much, right?
Sure, which is another issue I have. But sure.
And he tries to go off, on a nice vacation.
Have his honeymoon, yeah. Poor
he drives off, and he's like, okay, we made it. Like, that's the thing about the train thing, is like you're kind of in Watson's head. You're like, oh yeah, okay, we're kind of chilling, we made it. We're on the train, and then his wife jokes about like him having his gun. He's like, I can't really go anywhere without it.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, things start popping off. And like people are attacking, Watson and stuff. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? And he runs into Holmes, and he's like, in drag.
Mm-hmm.
And they have their little scene. I just felt like the whole thing was very extremely Sherlock. Like when we talked about that aesthetic, I felt like that scene really did a good job of capturing that.
Yeah.
Like funny, it's like action, but kind of clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the movie had kept that up, I would have been A-okay with it.
Yeah, and then shut up.
Sorry.
And then Holmes putting the lipstick in the gun was pretty clever too.
Yeah, it was. The way he made sure that everything was set up before, things started popping off. Yeah, that was fine. It was pretty clever. I wish they would have shown it, made it a little more clear, because the camera kept cutting to like him, like I don't want to say like flashback, but yeah, we go like cutting back to like him like actually going back there and seeing what he did. Then that's why their guns are jamming or explosives are going off, is because he set everything up. But no, it was cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, it just really showed how he's still one step ahead. He already knew they were going after Watson. He knew like kind of like what they could use in order to kill him. Figuring out ways to stop him.
Right.
And the cool part about the movie I like too is that the whole time I was watching the movie, I was like, okay, well, if Holmes is, 2 steps ahead of Moriarty's minions, I will call him, right?
Sure.
What is Moriarty setting up for Holmes? This is later on in the movie, but the game of chess they played at the end, I felt like metaphor for the entire movie.
I got some words for that. But yeah, no, it is.
Go ahead. Yeah,
it is. But yeah, so the trade sequence, I think we both agree is pretty great. But yeah, so we keep going on. Sherlock and Watson begrudgingly realizes he has to go with his plan if he ever has a chance of having a proper honeymoon. Gets recruited into helping out Sherlock. They go meet back up with the gypsy. We kind of, I don't want to say we go globe-trotting for a bit, but we meet up with the gypsy and her band of other gypsies, and we get some okay-ish scenes of them drinking and dancing amongst them. But then we quickly dive right back into them pursuing Moriarty, and the connection that this gypsy has and her brother has with him. They confront Moriarty, particularly Sherlock, and there's a fairly good scene where Sherlock and Moriarty square off again. And you think at first it doesn't play to Sherlock's favor, but Moriarty's kind of like torturing Sherlock at this point. He gets a hook in his shoulder. He's in a bad shape. This is like the first time we really kind of see Sherlock in really bad physical shape, and you wonder how he's going to get out of this. Which I thought was okay. Also real quick, there's also the B story too, is like Watson's also squaring off with like Moriarty's like right hand man, like this cool sniper assassin kind of guy, and these two events are playing out simultaneously.
You didn't
Which
find
I thought
you didn't find that interesting at all?
the sniper kind of duel between
Yeah,
him and Watson,
just the whole,
or the
just
whole
the whole
both.
duel scene. Yeah, like I would call it a duel. So like
Yeah,
it's
you
the
can.
first time where all the minds in the area were clashing.
Mhm. Yeah, you can.
Moriarty's minion and the sniper or whatever was going off against Watson, who was like a decorated soldier or whatever. And then you
Yeah.
have like Holmes versus Moriarty.
Mm-hmm. I
But
thought. Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but they were on Moriarty's turf, so it gave him an advantage.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead. Why didn't you like it?
I didn't dislike it, but yeah, I wouldn't. I am not gonna lie. I don't think I really liked it either. Because at this point in the movie, I kind of either forgot or just started losing care of like what Moriarty's plot end game was. Like I just started losing interest. Still don't know particularly the reason why. But as he was like torturing Sherlock and everything, I was just kind of like waiting for the moment, like, okay, I know Sherlock's gonna get out of this. Like, okay, let's just. I kind of this mood is like, oh, let's speed this along. I'm not really getting anything out of that, and because of that, like, I was much more interested in Watson and the sniper dude and see how he's gonna get out of it. But the way Watson got out of it, I really didn't like.
He didn't. It made sense.
It made sense. I wish it was just done a bit more cleverly. He does like one clever thing in it to help escape, but then it kind of ends with Watson just hopping into a big cannon weapon thing and just like bringing the tower down, which allows him to get Watson and allows for them to escape. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it was okay. I don't know. So I will say, so Moriarty and Sherlock, they encounter each other 3 times in the movie. The first meeting at the office, setting these two opposing forces against each other. This point in the movie where Moriarty's kind of like torturing Watson because he wants to know who he sent this telegram to about what he's been up to, and then we meet, and then they face off again at the last bit of the movie, which we'll get to shortly.
Sherlock, yeah.
Right, but out of the 3, like this was the one I thought was the weakest.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The whole time watching it, how do I put it into words? I understand why you don't like it. Just because like I'll say like the plot in the first movie, right? It was pretty clear, right?
Yes.
All these weird, mysterious things are happening.
Things are happening.
Like,
Lord Blackwood,
Holmes there.
Yeah, he's like,
Blackwood,
you can't beat me.
You need Holmes there to like kind of like unmystify everything, right?
Right.
Whereas the second movie, it was kind of like you didn't really know what was going on because you were still in Holmes' shoes, and he still didn't quite put all the pieces together, or at least as the character, or you were one of the characters in the movie, and they didn't give you all the information yet.
Right. It's like not even all the information. It's like I don't know what the goal is of like either like of the bad guy. And like you said, I'm in Sherlock's shoes, and I get this feeling like I know, like I believe Sherlock knows or has a good idea of like what's going down, but I don't know what's going down. You know what I mean?
So I don't know if they revealed it at this point, but the idea was that Moriarty, had a plan, basically just to make a bunch of money.
They were kind of stumbling onto that, yeah.
Yeah,
it was like just after a scene or two after this, which we'll get to.
It doesn't spoil anything. But
it's not.
Yeah,
it's not. It's just
not. I feel like that
clear.
It was really weak for them.
It was really weak, and that's why I feel like Moriarty is even a weaker villain than the first Sherlock Holmes movie.
Right.
Because it's like things just weren't. I'm not saying I'm stupid and I need like I need everything black and white, but the way they presented this character and his plot, his end goal, just was very muddled to me. Because the first movie, it's about Mark Strong, Lord Blackwood. He's saying I'm the shit, like you can't touch me, Sherlock. All right, you're gonna hang me, but I'm gonna come back. And it turns out like he came back, and the movie, and that's like in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the movie, and the rest of the movie is just Sherlock and Watson getting to see them develop their characters, and what the goal is. The goal is to get this guy and figure out how he came back from the dead and stop him.
Right.
This movie,
Exactly.
they're just following this professor dude, and he's globetrotting, going around. You think he's up to no good, but we have no idea what it is.
Yeah,
And-
it's kind of like as a character, as a person watching a movie, you're trailing along with them, and they don't even know really what's going on. But
And that makes sense because, you know, this is a movie based off infamous, you know, I won't say infamous, they're famous, detective novels and, you know, mystery books. So that's natural. But in terms of a movie where we only get 2 hours and I need to be entertained, like, I just don't think it presents itself as well as I think it could be. But yeah, this scene was okay. I don't hate it, but it didn't reach the, like the high of the train sequence like we just had. So that was my main issue with it. That's all I'm saying.
The fuck?
But yeah,
Where'd it go?
is that Chrissy?
yes, it is. Hang on one second.
Hang
Hang on one second. Sorry.
Don't just spray the whole area. That's my shit in there.
I didn't spray it. I actually sprayed him. And it fell over on the floor.
Yep. Just a brief intermission here. Thank you, all my listeners, all 2 of you who are listening to Barely There. We appreciate your patronage. Feel free to donate to my Patreon.
Fell on the floor.
I don't currently have a Patreon at the moment, but I'm gonna get one, and then you can
die,
throw
just
money
leave it there.
at me because I hear that's what most podcasters and YouTubers
I'm
do
gonna
now.
die.
Even though I don't really need it, like I'm not rich, but again, I'm just doing this for fun. So, if you want, cool. If not, it's whatever. And thanks for listening.
Hello?
Apparently, Jeremy sprayed some shit all over his girlfriend's. Hello, please. Oh, hey. I was just giving a quick summary interlude. But yeah, everything okay?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay, just cut that part out.
I won't. We're live, baby. We're live. I really won't. We'll see. So yeah, after that scene, a very injured Sherlock, the Gypsy, and Watson, they go to escape. There's a lot of horseback riding, but essentially they're catching back up to a train. I hated this particular scene. For like the next 15-20 minutes on, like I kind of hated everything that was going on. There was more action, but none of it was interesting. Like they're like running through the woods, they're like being shot at, and there's a lot of Guy Ritchie's trait, and he was doing it early in the movie too, but for some reason during this particular part to me it was very obnoxious. There's a lot of speed up slow-mos. The bad guys are chasing them, they're shooting like heavy cannons and bullets at them, they're busting through trees and stuff like that, but a lot of slow motion. They're trying to get on this train and get away from them. And I remember specifically, I know it's been a while since you've seen this movie, but there's like this really bad, they're like charging up this super cannon thing, and like this one bad guy, he's like charging it up, and like the movie does like this really awkward close up on the dude's face in slow motion. I'm like, ew, that's ugly. What was that? Hello?
It's like a weird close up.
Yeah, it was a very weird close up, and so the super weapon goes off and it kind of hits near them, and they're all like laying on the ground, kind of dazed for a second, and then still nothing happens to them because they just they fight for a second, and then they get up and they still run towards the train to get away. There's just something about that sequence like I just really didn't like. I remember it was a sequence that was played heavily in the trailer, and I guess I thought it looked more epic, and then when I saw it in the movie I was like, oh, that's really
yeah, it's kind of phoned in.
It's kind of phoned in. I feel like they tried to make it more epic than it really was. And then, and here's the part I really didn't like, Jeremy. They get on the train, and like there's this moment where everybody thinks Sherlock is dead. I really did not like this.
Oh yeah, the part where the doctor kind of like brought him back to life.
Brought him back to life.
Yeah.
Early in the movie, Sherlock gave Holmes. I'm sorry. Sherlock gave Holmes. Holmes gave Watson this wedding gift. This is basically like a shot of adrenaline.
Yep.
And he uses that to revive Sherlock. But it's just like kind of out of nowhere. Like they get on the train and then they show like, oh, he's not breathing, and Watson freaks out for a second before using it on Sherlock. And I really disliked it just from a storytelling standpoint, because everybody in the audience knows he's not dead, or he's gonna come back. Like he's not dead. We still gotta resolve this story. And they kind of did a similar thing in the first movie with Watson. So it just felt very repetitive and kind of unnecessary. I don't know if they felt like they just needed something else dramatic to happen before they got to the conclusion, the end, quote unquote fight scene of the movie. But
at that point in the movie, I wasn't really paying attention to the gravity of the situation. I was just more like, oh yeah, obviously he's gonna bring him back. But then like he used the adrenaline, I was like, oh yeah, I guess I thought it was kind of cool, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, I was like,
that's okay if you do.
Because it's like there was no indication of like that he was going to use it later on, and like really didn't really talk about it. He didn't say like make sure you bring your gift or anything. He was just kind of like,
I have that.
Yeah, right.
And he uses it, but I just didn't care. Like the movie portrays it up to be like this clever thing, but I'm just like, okay, because like I already knew like Sherlock wasn't going to die in that moment. So to me, like it didn't matter the method, how they brought him back. Like because I knew it was going to happen. Like it was very telegraphed. You know what I mean? The one thing I could see coming in the movie was that, and I was just not that impressed. But moving on. We get the trio regroups back at home, and they really dig into, and they start to see like what Moriarty's really planning. He's planning to basically assassinate or really mess up this kind of world conference that they're all the main delegates are hosting.
So they're trying to start
another world war, and Moriarty's plan is to hold all the chips in it. He wants to own, as they say in the movie, that he wants to own both the bullets and the bandages, which is really smart. Which is smart. Sure. Which is smart. And everything he's been doing up then is to acquire assets to make sure he has all the weapons. He had the businesses that produce the bullets and the bandages, so he can basically war profiteering. You just profit off an upcoming conflict that he would set off during this meetup between all like the world leaders or whatever. And he realized the assassin is the gypsy's brother, so they need to go there and stop him. So we get to the point where, Jeremy, you really liked it and you wanted to know my thoughts on with the final showdown between Sherlock and Moriarty. I did not like it.
Oh, man, you didn't like it.
I didn't like it. I didn't hate it. But again, with so many other things in this movie, I feel like it could have been done a lot better.
That was just cheesy or something?
Oh, well, actually, I want you to give your overall opinion.
Oh, okay, so
and then I'll give you mine.
Point, at this point, they're investigating Moriarty. They go to the conference, and then they're in the conference room. They're like, okay. Sherlock's like, hey, look, watch. You're gonna have to do this on your own because I'm gonna have to go piss off of Moriarty. Room. They built suspense. Like he's using his techniques, to find out who this guy is to stop him from creating another war. Yeah. So Sherlock goes into the other room. He runs to Moriarty. And Moriarty's waiting for him. He's like, hey. He's kind of like, hey, you finally made it. So now time to put all the pieces together and see who actually wins this, right? and they're playing chess. To my knowledge, right? They start playing chess.
They started playing chess, sure.
In their heads. So it was like chess in their heads. So they're like,
Well, they're playing chess physically, but while they're doing that, they're also discussing like the plots that they both had.
Right. Eventually, it gets to the point where it's just rook to a2 or whatever. I don't know numbers, but
sure, yeah.
And eventually, they build up to the fight sequence, and then Holmes is trying to predict, everything that Moriarty does as per usual, right? And then out of nowhere, Moriarty's like, "You can play this game," and I was like, "Oh shit!" Because I didn't, because they do this thing where like they bring in the awareness of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, okay, Moriarty is just as smart, so let's just have him narrate his own part too.
Sure.
Which I thought was kind of fun. I remember sitting in the theater watching Holmes. At this point, I'm like, okay, I was actually getting kind of bored. Like nothing really new happened. It just felt like a long continuation of a movie that I'd already seen. But then this part came up. I remember sitting next to Andrew, our friend. And he goes, what? What are they doing? He just kept asking me that. He's like, what are they doing? Like, this doesn't make sense. What? He's like blown away. He actually really liked it. We all thought that part was like the redeeming quality of the movie. Yeah. It was just the fact that like at that point the metagame was so strong that they were their own.
Yes, it was.
Right.
Yeah, so
I thought it was kind of cool because he's like, cool. and the face they made too. He's like too for that game, and I was like, I really thought of our friend group because of our sense of humor. It's definitely something that we were write or do.
Right.
Yeah. So I really just want to hear your opinion on that.
Okay. You hear my opinion on that? Okay, so Sherlock.
I'm not talking about the whole thing. I just talk about at the moment when it happened.
At the moment, okay. Just a quick bit of setup. So, in the first movie, what the first movie was like kind of known for, and it was really cool. And they did do it like in the beginning of this movie too as well. Sherlock is so smart, and he knows like he studied a bunch of different fight styles and moves. Like he literally, the movie does this thing where it breaks down. You get inside Sherlock's head about what he's about to do and why it's gonna work. So like as you said, their intellectual game devolves into a physical one because Moriarty sees that he's actually been bested. And Sherlock anticipates this and that he's going to go into this rage and he's going to attack Sherlock himself. Right. So he does the thing, the whole slow motion breakdowns. He's going to do this shoulder to the left, hand break, open palm, this, that, a third. But then he comes to the conclusion. He's like, oh, fuck, wait, I'm going to lose. and in the middle of that, Moriarty's, as you said, he's like, two could play this game, bitch. Moriarty's like, if you do that, I'll counter-strike with this, left foot to e4, and then basically they both come to the realization. Right,
boxing champ of Cambridge,
Cambridge, he's no physical slouch either, and they both realize because of that and the fact that Sherlock's shoulder is still injured from their last meeting, that they both say it in their voiceover. It's like, there's only one way this is gonna end, and that's with Sherlock physically losing. I thought it was cool, but I still didn't love it because I don't like the idea that these two very smart intellectual men would just devolve into a physical altercation, and two, it happened too quick. Like I actually do like those scenes, but like it was kind of over before I knew it. Like I know normal fights don't last that long, but like it was kind of cool how they were both breaking it down. And three, like you said, the metagame was strong, but like just from like a logical storytelling standpoint, it just was kind of, I kind of felt like Andrew, but like in a less of a sense, like what? It was more like what? Like like why does Moriarty get to I know it's because he's just as smart and whatever, but it felt so intrusive because you felt like that was Sherlock's thing, and now Moriarty was doing it, doing his slow-mo breakdown of what was going to happen. Right. And C or 3, however I was naming this, so you remember how I said I hated when they pretended in the movie in the train that Sherlock was dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I also hated. So Sherlock, they both come to the conclusion like it's about to break off, like they reach the conclusion, it's about to happen, and Sherlock is like, yeah, I'm gonna lose unless I do this, and then basically stalemate. He blocks Moriarty's first blow, but before Moriarty can counteract, he basically kicks them both off the balcony that they're on, and they both.
Well, you can't forget too. He like blew the smoke into his face.
He did. The tobacco pipe kind of that he had.
I think last year, like they both grinned at each other, like, yeah, we were thinking the same thing.
Yeah. That was okay. But yeah, I did forget that he blows the tobacco pipe into Moriarty's face to just quickly distract him, which I have another issue with because that would totally throw off. There could be a whole bunch of other scenarios how that other fight could end, especially since Watson ended up coming in a little bit later. But Sherlock kicks them both off the balcony, and they both, quote unquote, plummet to their death. And I was saying, like, I really didn't like the fact that the movie played up the possibility that Sherlock could have died at that one point. And like when I saw Sherlock go over the waterfall with Moriarty, I rolled my eyes again because I was like, he's not. Like I already know he's not dead. Like he's not dead. I've been watching this movie 8 years after it came out, and I just felt like, nah, there's got to be a sequel. Like, there's no way they killed off the title character, Robert Downey Jr. right in this way. It just felt so. It wasn't as climactic as I wanted to be. I don't need all my end fights in movies to have explosions and missiles and superpowers going off everywhere. But I don't know. I just felt very anticlimactic. And then Watson, he comes in. He sees them both go over. And the movie just kind of, it doesn't end there, but it feels like whatever momentum the movie had, it was just like it was just cut right there. So I have no problem with the scene itself. I guess I just have a problem with everything around it. The fact that the movie plays up like, yep, Sherlock sacrificed himself. I'm like, nah, I don't buy that.
Well, I mean, they kind of made it obvious that he didn't because he got the breathing apparatus from his brother or whatever.
Yeah, but like just like the thought, but that doesn't even come up till like afterward. But like the thought that Sherlock found this opponent like such as equal that the only way he believed he could have some sense of victory would be to sacrifice himself. And the problem is, like I think you mentioned earlier, like it might be like this actor, but I just didn't feel like he was on a charisma level was on the same level as Sherlock and Robert Downey were. So like the thought he would sacrifice himself to get rid of this dude just didn't sit well with me. I mean, yeah, sure, he had a terrible plot going on, but like Watson and the Gypsy already handled that. So,
well, the thing is, I don't think Sherlock planned on Watson succeeding.
I think he did because they were when they're having that chess match. He was describing what his bishops and his rooks were doing.
Yeah, but they were like gloating though. It wasn't more like I feel like he did that out of contingency.
But then if he didn't think they would succeed, why would he still kill or sacrifice himself to kill Moriarty?
See, the thing is about the whole thing, I don't remember if Moriarty said it or not, but like even if Sherlock did beat his plot, right?
Mm-hmm.
There would be no real way to prove that Moriarty was connected to it because Moriarty, always tied up sins.
Well, Jeremy, like you said, it's been a while since you've seen the movie, but I skipped over this plot point because when Sherlock got hooked, he made a swap with this little red journal that Moriarty had in his coat, and it revealed everything, like what he was doing.
Everything, right.
So, yeah, they still would have found out. Other people still would have found out.
Yeah, other people would have found out, but like how? I don't feel like there's enough evidence. You know what I mean? Like a little red book,
but I guess so.
Especially for the
time. Unfortunately, one of our phones died during this recording. I won't say who, Jeremy. But we were.
You won't say who? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I won't say who, Jeremy.
What?
But we were. Hello. Oh,
Well,
no, I was just saying that unfortunately we were giving our ending summaries, review scores of the movie. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty. One of our
Preston.
phones died. Won't say who.
Preston.
Jeremy. Yeah, we kind of gave our whole thing. But I know you said there was one more thing you wanted to add real quick.
There's one more thing. This movie really tries, like I said, it's like a Sherlock Holmes adventure. You know, you just go in to watch more Sherlock Holmes, but I feel like the movie is trying to get like this grand, kind of. Uh, I won't quite say like a heist, but it almost feels like a heist. You know what I mean? Like one of those heist movies.
Hmm.
Um, but pretty much it tries to take Sherlock on like a ride almost, and you're along with it. I feel like a movie that does a better job is Grand Budapest Hotel,
Hmm.
because that movie starts off in a very small place and it grows into something that's really big and is really funny and it's well written and well shot. I feel like that's the next movie you should check out. Grand Budapest is probably one of my favorite movies. I'll give
I
it
was,
I'll give it a 9 out of 10, if not a 10.
wow. Okay. I was trying to see the connection there. Yes, I haven't seen it yet. But I
Yeah,
would imagine Sherlock and Grand Budapest are two very different movies. I was trying to see the
they're
connection.
different.
You just want me to see it. You just want me to
No,
watch
no,
Grand
no.
Budapest.
Listen. They're different.
I
But
think
they're
that's
the
what.
same.
I don't
They're
see
the
how
same.
Sherlock is the heist movie either, but okay. Whatever you say,
A
buddy.
heist in the sense of like they try to build like this story where they take Sherlock on a big adventure, and there's a lot at stake.
Adventure and mystery, sure, but like a heist is particularly pertains to movies when an antagonist or protagonist is trying to get something, and they come up with elaborate plots to get it. This I don't really think is a heist.
I'm not
Heist
calling it a
movie.
literal heist, but I mean like the aspect of a heist movie in which they're
Yeah.
trying to build like this big thing that's happening, and it kind of falls short.
I just think it's a plot that just falls short. I didn't think of it as in heist terms, but yeah, I'll watch. If your point is just for me to watch Grand Budapest Hotel, yeah, man, I'll watch it. I'll watch it. I'll watch
No,
it.
when you see it, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
It kind of takes the same cues and does a way better job at it.
All right. If Jude Law or Robert Downey's not in it, though, I'm gonna be very upset.
Jude Law is in it. Funny enough.
Is he?
Yeah, he
Damn
is.
it. I like half of it. Damn it. All right. Did not see that coming.
Didn't see that coming either.
Or did not. Oh man, that's funny. But yeah, okay. So yeah, maybe that could be our next review, Grand Budapest Hotel. But yeah, getting back on track. Yeah, Sherlock. Again, what we were saying. Not. I think we can both agree, not great, but it's
great.
okay.
Solid matinee.
Solid matinee.
6 dogs out of 10.
Six donkeys out of 10. I'm gonna give it, like I said before, five Moriartys out of 10.
I feel like you're being very generous.
Yeah. I remember because again we talked earlier, briefly, like after I think after I watched the movie, like originally I gave it like a 4.
Yeah.
But that was just me kind of being, I think, a little cynical and like having some time to really sit and just think about the movie. And I even went back and just kind of rewatched certain, not all of it, but certain parts of it again. I was like, yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I don't think it doesn't quite live up to the movie that all the bars had set before it. But no, I think it's a good time. Again, it's just the only way I can recommend it is that only if you're a person who watched the first movie, and you're kind of interested in it, then I'd be like, yeah, rent it. And that's why I give it a rent.
Just look it up online. It's free.
Look it up online.
It's on YouTube. Part 1.
YouTube, like I said,
Part 2. Yeah.
it was $3 for me to rent it, which I thought was perfectly fine. Yeah, just but like but at the same time, don't expect anything too new. if you
Right.
didn't like the first one, this one's not going to win
It's
you over.
not gonna win you over at all.
Yeah.
If you really enjoyed the first one, I would watch the second one because you're gonna find some enjoyment. Really, there's nothing about the movie where the plot made me angry that they did a thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I know you have a different opinion.
You know what's funny? I was going to disagree, but I was like, no, you're right. Nothing made me angry.
Nothing made me angry. Nothing made me go, okay, like I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a movie that made me feel that way. God,
That's something a movie did that made you angry.
I don't wanna say Last Airbender because that's too easy. I don't want to say like Dragon Ball Z Evolution.
No, I don't want to. Those. I
Um,
was thinking more like moments, like something the movie did, like the whole 2 hours I sat through Dragon Ball movies. that made me angry. That made me angry. That was Bruce
Marvel's
Banner.
Marvel's decision to not put, like an angry Hulk in the two movies, kind of
Yeah.
did bother me a lot.
Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah, just because there's so much potential behind that you
Yeah.
you lost. We didn't get to see him grow into like a Banner that was like a smart alter ego of himself. We just basically got handed to a new version of a Hulk in the new movie.
I thought, this is getting off topic, but I was fine with it. Because I felt like it was kind of like the end arc for him, because this is a character who's been, fighting against this other persona, the Hulk persona, for ever since he got it.
Right.
But I will agree. I wish they spent a bit more time developing, like seeing how he got to that point, and also seeing, much to your cousin's credit and to yours. Yeah, it would have been nice to see Hulk out one last time.
At least once. You know what I
At
mean?
least one more time. Yeah,
Right.
sure. I would have been fine with that too. No, I agree. But yeah,
Just like it would almost be like watching a Sherlock movie where he doesn't do anything like really smart. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, I'm kind of over being that cocky asshole, and then you're like, oh, that's kind of what I'm here for, to see you.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
that's what you're known for. Yeah, you gotta do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it's a movie. it's a movie it's weird. Like I feel indifferent. Like I'm not gonna say it's bad, but I'm not gonna say it's good.
That's exactly how I felt leaving the theater.
Yeah, like that.
I think I remember telling you after I saw it, I was like, yeah, you don't really need to see it.
You saw the first one? Yeah, you're right.
I love the first movie for some reason.
I really liked the first movie. I was close to loving it, but
I feel like it's not as epic as it is in the second movie, because the second movie has like guns and cannons and
shit going off. Yeah, it's just bigger and louder.
Train
where the
crashes
first
and
one.
stuff. But like the first movie kind of was pretty tame.
It's pretty tame. Yeah, comparatively, there are definitely a couple of big set pieces. But comparatively to the second one, the first one's a bit more contained.
The best.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say the best part about the first movie though was the amount, which brings up the whole Moriarty thing. The amount of people that challenged Sherlock in the first movie compared to the second one. There's only really just Moriarty. Because if you think about it, okay, you have Blackwood. You got the police commissioner always challenging him in the first movie. You got
that's another thing. I missed the whole. Was it Scotland Yard? Like the police officer,
Scotland Yard. Yep.
Like he only had like 2 scenes like in this movie. I kind of miss having that relationship, that banter.
Yeah, you got
Sherlock showing up the police, and you
got the meeting with the senators, right? Because they were like, "Oh, we do dark magic," and he's like, "Oh, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about."
Right.
You have that one guy, senator himself, who tried to kill Sherlock in his office.
Yeah.
And then you had I would call it the goons, like that really big guy.
That really big guy made for a pretty entertaining scene.
To where it's like, I feel like, not in game. Game of Shadows.
Endgame.
So many games. Game of Shadows.
So many games. Yeah.
Game of Shadows. You really only have Moriarty.
Oh yeah, Moriarty and his
And,
sniper
sniper guy.
guy. Yeah,
And it
which
was just
got like
a
a
lot of
lame
like,
conclusion too.
right, it was a lot of like chase scenes and stuff. Really,
A lot of running.
a lot of running. Like, I feel like
To like a Tom Cruise level. They
it
ran
is
through.
almost. I was waiting for Tom Cruise to just run in the background. You know,
Right.
he's like, I don't know why I'm running here, but you guys are doing a lot.
You guys do a lot. Let's go. I don't know where we're going. Let's go. Yeah, there's a lot of running in this movie. Away from to, and a lot of running. Mostly from, but yeah, a lot of running. But yeah. It's yeah, a lot of games. It's a movie. What I was gonna say, last thing. Even though it's been like 8 years since this movie, Sherlock: A Game of Shadows, I still wouldn't mind. And now that Robert has some more free time, I still wouldn't mind if they made a third movie.
I don't want them to. It's too late.
Really?
It's too late. Yeah, I don't want them to.
I think it's possible. Movies have. I mean, look at it. Look at these are animated movies, but look at Toy Story. Look at Credibles too. Like they
Name
waited
2
years.
animated movies.
I'm sorry, I can't think of Blade Runner 2024. I don't. I can't. That's not animated.
Did you see that movie?
I did not, but I heard it was good. From you, I heard it was good.
It was decent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Better than Game of Shadows.
They're too different.
I'll take that
They're
as a yes.
way. The interpretation of both movies is way too off.
Okay.
Really
yeah, you know what? Yeah, fair enough. I was just trying to be funny, but I still take it as a yes. but yeah. Okay, so yeah, I don't get me wrong. Much like Toy Story and The Incredibles, I do not need. I don't need a sequel.
Let him die.
Let him die. Let him rest. I don't need a sequel, but at the same time, I still wouldn't mind if they made a sequel, because I'm not like married to as I was to Toy Story or maybe even The Incredibles. Like, I'm not married to the Sherlock Holmes movies. So if they were to make a third Sherlock Holmes movie, I wouldn't mind. I think it'd be kind of interesting. But if they don't make one, I'm still not hurt too. Like, either way, I'm okay. But yeah, Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows. Good movie. So those are our ratings on it. I believe we said everything we needed to say.
Yep.
All right, cool.
I got my 2 cents out.
Awesome,
I am actually surprised. I'm really kind of shocked that you didn't find that last scene just totally just outlandish.
I did. When Jeremy's referring to again the scene where Moriarty and Sherlock have a duel of the minds.
Right.
This review's already got on long enough. But real quick, I thought it was really, I don't know if cheesy is the right word, but it was just too on the nose. The fact they were having a chess game and also discussing the moves they've been plotting against each other concerning Moriarty's overall plan, and then playing chess. I thought it was too on the nose. It was just too, I guess, cliche. Like, what would 2 smart men do while they're giving the plot to each other? Like, oh, they would have a game of chess. Like, it just felt unnecessary on a random balcony during this peace summit thing of officials. Like, it just felt too random and inconvenient to me.
Really?
And yeah, it did. It's too on the nose. Like, again, smart people. What's the smartest thing? We call this movie A Game of Shadows for a reason. They got to be playing something. It's got to be some game. Let's have them play chess. Even though they made no reference to chess in earlier in the movie.
Okay.
And they kept referencing how cold it was. Why was a chess game like set up there? Anyway, yeah. Again, I thought it was kind of cool, like how Moriarty like hopped in the voiceover booth, like, this is how it play out.
Right.
It was kind of cool. But yeah, it didn't wow me as much as I think it did you and our buddy Andrew did.
Andrew was blown away. He almost jumped out of his seat. Two could play this game.
Two could play this game. Yeah, it was new. It was different. It was a bit of a twist. Like, out of a couple of twists the movie tried to pull, I guess this was like the best one. But it was okay. I Again, it didn't blow my mind. I guess also too at that point in the movie, I totally forgot about that mechanic because they hadn't done it since like almost the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
So
you're right. I mean,
I kind of forgot about it. Again, so much crap happens from then and now, and a lot of it being muddled and kind of murky. Like I forgot about it, so I guess it just didn't hit me as
did
hard.
The movies have two different directors?
Nope, same guy. Guy Ritchie.
Interesting.
Guy Ritchie. Oh yeah, I mean, you can tell by the style of the movies that the pacing of them, the slow mo speed up stuff. That's kind of his thing. I haven't seen it, but the latest King Arthur movie, he directed that too, and it has a lot of that apparently. And it was kind of criticized for that. But yeah, I think he's a competent actor, and director, and he directed the first one a-okay.
He did,
so,
yeah. I still watch it every day, or not every day.
every
year,
it's a
that goes by. I have my annual like Sherlock Holmes day.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done some bad movies and he's done some good movies. He actually, believe it or not, you haven't seen it, but he actually directed the Aladdin movie that just came out.
Did he?
He did.
Guy Ritchie,
which is weird because he normally does like British stuff. Like a lot of his first movies, The Hard Case, Snatch, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which is probably his like most kind of a cult classic. If you ever seen it.
I was not a huge fan of Will Smith Genie. I was gonna say that.
So you did see it.
I did not see it. I'm just saying I'm not a huge fan of Will Smith being Genie.
Okay, the last thing, I saw half of it, and I'll explain it to you later. I saw half of it, and I'll just say it now. I took my sister to go see it. We skipped out halfway through and caught like the last part of Endgame. Even though we both had real.
Why?
Because I was curious. She wasn't interested, but I wanted to go see it, Aladdin, because I just wanted to see the live action remake, see how different it was. This was a part I was getting kind of bored, and yeah, we snuck into Endgame again. But I will say the reason why I bring this up is Will Smith Genius is actually better than I thought. But anyway, more on that later. But I think we said all we needed to say about Sherlock Holmes.
Yep.
A Game of Shadows. So yeah,
the reviews are in.
The reviews are in. The reviews you've been waiting for the past 8 years.
8 years. It took us 8 years to do it.
It took us 8 years, man. And then I guess maybe the next movie review, whether it's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind or Grand Budapest Hotel.
I'm really curious. With this movie, I was just really curious to see your take on,
what, Sherlock?
Mainly like Moriarty. Yeah, but
just kind of lukewarm. Like I feel like you could have done better.
Which makes a lot of sense because if you didn't like Moriarty, he was like half the movie. So
he was. Yeah, he was the driving point of the movie.
I'm really curious to see what your sense of humor is with Grand Budapest, because I think it's technically like a comedy.
Okay.
And then with Eternal, I really want to get your opinion on the viewpoints of it.
Okay, hey man, I'm in. Those could be the next movies we could review. I'm actually off again tomorrow, so I'll take some time out in my afternoon and I'll watch one of those movies. I don't know which one's going to be.
Here we go again.
But yeah, definitely. So yeah, guys, be on the lookout for one of those reviews coming up soon. But yeah, so that's our review for A Game of Shadows. Thank you very much to those who have been listening. All 2 of you. Really appreciate it.
Hey, Summer.
Summer's my little sister. I doubt she's sad to hear any of this.
Hey, David.
Yeah. David. Hey, David. What's up, man? How you doing? Thank you for reviewing Endgame and Fan 4 Stick. And the other one we did.
If you're listening right now, David.
If you're listening right now.
Put the sandwich down.
Put the sandwich down.
And walk out of the room.
Okay. I'm just saying hi. Hope you get. But yes, that's our review. Barely there. Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows. Thank you again for listening. Jeremy, thank you for taking the time out your day to
No
doing this
problem. No
review
problem.
with
It's
me.
nighttime.
It's-
Currently.
It is. It's actually 1:30 here in
Yep.
our state.
Mhm.
But yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you for listening, guys.
What state are we in?
What did you say? Hello?
What?
Ah!
Ah!